So, Dr. Newman, you're saying that everybody wears a mask?
That's correct, Wendy. We all wear masks, metaphorically speaking. We suppress the id, our darkest desires, and adopt a more socially acceptable image.
The Mask started out as a series of comic books published by Dark Horse Comics, about a mask which grants the wearer boundless powers. It was dark in tone and filled with gory violence and jokes. The property was taken to New Line Cinema with the express intention of turning the Mask character into the new Freddy Krueger-style villain, killing the main cast off with wit and style.
Hey, get out of the road! I think he wants to communicate.
New Line Cinema even hired the director of one of the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels to helm the film, the third one called Dream Warriors, which is actually pretty good and did rather well at the box office. And it was under Chuck Russell's watch that the tone of the movie got changed to what it is today.
I got those concert tickets you wanted.
You're kidding. For Friday night? Stanley, you are the nicest guy. Really, you are.
Yeah.
Charlie, isn't Stanley the nicest guy?
The best.
Stanley Ipkiss is an Edge City bank clerk and is as unlucky in love as he is in everything else. His landlady is an old battle axe and his car mechanics are openly ripping him off. His only friend in the world is his dog, Milo.
Hey, you. Milo.
Mobster and doorman at the Coco Bongo nightclub, Dorian Tyrell, is planning a bank robbery, so sends his girlfriend Tina into Stanley's bank with a camera hidden in her handbag.
That's an interesting time, Mr.
Ipkiss. Stanley Ipkiss.
Tina Carlisle, pleased to meet you.
The pleasure's all mine.
Stanley is denied entry to the Coco Bongo Club, where Tina is a singer, and decides to go home and spend his evening watching cartoons. En route, he passes a river in which floats a large human-shaped mound. Stanley runs into the water and finds the body is just a heap of trash and a mask.
What are you doing down there? I'm just looking for my mask.
He takes it home and puts it on, transforming him into the movie's green-faced title character. Now able to bend the laws of physics in much the same way Tex Avery's cartoons can, he exacts revenge on those who wronged him.
I want a proctologist standing by. What? You heard me. Best one you can find.
The next morning, Dorian Tyrell is summoned to his boss's headquarters. Nico finds out about Tyrell's plans to rob the Edge City Bank and gives him an ultimatum. Leave or face the consequences.
Get real, man. Everything is his grift. He owns you, he owns this club, he owns this whole stinking town. Things change.
Stanley wakes and finds the mask next to him in bed. He throws it out the window lest he should be tempted to use it again, but as soon as he turns his back, it boomerangs back into the room. Later that evening, he puts it on and wreaks havoc on Dorian's attempted bank robbery. The mask goes to the Coco Bongo Club, where the sight of Tina in her stage outfit makes his eyes literally stand out on stalls. They dance up a storm while customers cheer. Tyrell tries to shoot the mask for dancing with his girl, but he escapes. The mask arranges for Tina to meet him at a local park, where he comes on strong, but eventually manages to charm her with his wit. That's when two police officers stumble upon the wanted man.
Police!
Merde.
Freeze!
He teases the officers before making his leave, only to find that he is surrounded. The mask sings Cuban Pete and distracts the police long enough to get away. But he ends up in the hands of Dorian Tyrell, who interrogates Stanley about how the mask works, then dumps him at the police's feet with a different mask in his possession.
Explain this!
How does it work?
I don't know. It's like it brings your innermost desires to life. If deep down inside you're a little repressed and a hopeless romantic, you become some sort of a love-crazy wild man.
And if you're somebody like Dorian?
And we're all in big trouble.
Milo, Stanley's Jack Russell, has followed him to the police station, and Stanley encourages him to jump up to the window, whereupon Stanley hauls him in and uses the dog to retrieve the cell keys. Tyrell, now wearing the mask, takes Tina to raid a charity ball at Coco Bongo, where his boss, Nico, is unduly killed. He then ties Tina to a palm tree and sets a bomb. Newly freed, Stanley sneaks into the nightclub in an effort to save the day without his superpowers.
Milo, this could be dangerous. Daddy's gonna have to go kick some ass.
The mask ends up changing hands, even landing on the dog for a while, before it ends up back on Stanley. Whereupon he swallows the explosives and diffuses the situation.
That's a spicy meatball!
It is clearly a riff on Jekyll and Hyde, but in rewatching this film for this essay, I actually found it reminded me more of Jerry Lewis's Nutty Professor.
Hi, Professor.
Oh, Stell.
Stell?
Oh, that is Miss Purdy. I'm sorry. Having a good time, dear?
Well, I'm having a good time, but I'd have a much better time if somebody would ask me to dance. What's the matter, Professor? Cat got your tongue?
Oh, no. The punch bowl has my arm. I didn't realize
Here, let me help you.
Thank you. I guess I'm just accident-prone.
Inspired by the Robert Louis Stevenson story, Lewis plays the nerdy professor Julius Kelp, who's invented a serum that turns him into the handsome Lothario Buddy Love.
You're crazy about me, right? And I can understand it. Only this morning, looking in the mirror before shaving, I enjoyed seeing what I saw so much I couldn't tear myself away. Have some, baby?
The Nutty Professor shares the mask's love of cartoony jokes, and Jim Carrey has shared his love of Jerry Lewis many times in the past.
Well, I think Jerry Lewis was an absolute genius in so many ways, in so many diverse ways. I was psychically linked to him when I was a child. I could say Jerry's on, and I'd turn the TV on, and he would be there.
Hi. How are you?
Are you?
Yes, he is. You're the one that my mother.
He's the one.
You're on camera.
It's okay.
He said it. Yeah,
no, it's okay.
This was a family picture, and as was customary in the mid-90s, that meant having some thoroughly inappropriate jokes in it. For the parents.
Sorry, wrong pocket.
For its theatrical release in the UK, it was rated PG by the British Board of Film Classification, and that certificate was upheld for its VHS release in 1995 and its DVD release in 1997, but has since been uprated to 12 for its Blu-ray release. It's hard to picture it now, because Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz are film royalty, despite both being in semi-retirement. But when this film was made, both of these stars were unknown. Jim had shot his first major star vehicle, Ace Ventura, but it was yet to be released and be the big hit that it was. He was hired because of his work on the sketch show In Living Colour. Cameron Diaz was a model at the time and only got the audition because the original choice for Tina, Anna Nicole Smith, dropped out and the costume designer suggested Diaz for the role. It's hard to think of a studio backing a mid-budget special effects driven comedy based on the strength of the material these days. But God love 'em, that's what New Line Cinema did. The Mask, by all accounts, was a huge success, grossing $190 million in the US and over $350 million worldwide.
You love me. You really love me.
Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up, and it still holds an 80% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I saw this movie when it was first released in 1994. I just turned 13 and I loved it. As an avid cartoon watcher at the time, I was incredibly impressed with the CGI recreations of that which I'd only seen in 2D. Most of the movie references went straight over my head, but the laughs came thick and fast, so I left the cinema happy. Looking at the movie now with my 2024 glasses on, I can see it for what it is. I still really enjoy the mask's antics, and I don't think the special effects have dated it too much, as the lower rendering quality makes it look more like an animation. My problem is that when the masked character is not on screen, it's still rather cartoony. The police are buffoons, the gangsters are one-dimensional, and it's all lit with these pools of blue and red light. The real world should be more realistic, and almost a little bit drab and dull, to contrast the mask's image and animated antics. Instead it's just as cartoony, but dialed down to 3 when the mask is absent and up to 11 when he's present. Just like Ace Ventura, a spin-off animated series was commissioned, running for 54 episodes over the span of 3 seasons. It saw the return of Stanley Ipkiss, now voiced by Rob Paulsen, and his dog Milo, now voiced by Frank Welker, but the Tina character did not appear. Each episode would be a story of the week rather than some overarching plot, where the antagonist will try to destroy something important or obtain the mask or something or another. I remember watching this series when it was on and thinking turning a real-life cartoon back into an actual cartoon is kind of pointless. But then no one asked me. The last episode of The Mask animated series was a crossover with the aforementioned Ace Ventura cartoon.
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Alrighty then.
Because of the movie's success, a sequel was toyed with for a long time, but when Jim Carrey declined to return, having not enjoyed the making of Ace Ventura When Nature Calls, it killed the idea. For a while. Son of the Mask came in 2005. The only returning member of the cast was Ben Stein as Dr. Arthur Newman.
Ow.
The lead was now comedian Jamie Kennedy, playing Tim Avery, a wannabe animator who ends up with a mask in his possession. He has sex with his wife whilst wearing it, and the baby comes out with superpowers. And I'm sure hilarity ensues, I don't know. I haven't seen the sequel. I must admit I have little interest in doing so. At the time of recording, it sits on IMDb's list of the bottom 100 movies at number 8. It could be time that it is re-evaluated, but if so, it will require a man with more free time than me.
This is an interesting piece, Mr. Ipkiss. Looks like 4th or 5th century Scandinavian. Possibly a representation of one of the Norse night gods. Maybe Loki. The Norse god of mischief. Supposedly he caused so much trouble that Odin banished him from Valhalla forever.
There have been talks about a gritty, dark reboot happening in line with the tone of the comics, but what with the superhero fatigue that everyone finds themselves in at the moment, I'm not sure that's still happening. So why not enjoy the 1994 film instead? You could do much worse. Firstly, thank you to Squabblebox for having me back. I have done 2 other videos for this channel, one about Kill Bill, the other about JFK movies. If you've enjoyed this, why not watch that? I also have my own channel where I do basically the same thing to a much smaller audience. It's called I'm Making a Movie. Perhaps I'll see you there.